How are you doing, dude?
I'm fine. Let me set my hair.
I think you took enough time to set your hair. We've been waiting 15 minutes.
My name is Rahul Pramod Deodhar, and I'm the third host of Chai and Gyan. Currently, I'm a student. I'm pursuing a Master of Science in Aerospace Engineering at Isaïe Supero in Toulouse, in
Toulouse?
France.
Yeah.
Toulouse, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I said Isaïe Supero with that French accent, so just to sound cool. This
How was the experience?
September.
How was
It's
the
been pretty
experience?
good. It was my first time staying away from family, and that was something very new. And the first time I was away from family, that was international. It was not like Bangalore, Mumbai. It was directly Bangalore to some other continent. It was in Europe, Toulouse. It was a rather new experience, and I've never lived abroad. I've been abroad, but never lived there. I didn't also speak the language much. I knew the just knew the basics of French. So it was pretty interesting. And even international students got to meet many, interacted with them, got to know their way of working and their approach.
What would you say is different in terms of like students in India and students in France? And what is it like as a student, like an Indian student in France? What is it like?
For me, as an Indian student in France, it was, for example, here, I'll take engineering as an example. Here, I found that these are again my experiences. I give a disclaimer that these are all my personal opinions. Nobody should take motivation for their life from me. And like today, I'm like this. My mindset can change tomorrow, so it keeps changing. So for me, what I feel is in engineering, at least here in India, a lot of focus is given on deriving an equation. You know, like in an exam paper, like in our semester ends, we'll have something like 60% of theory, like derivations and all that. There, they don't care about the derivation. They say, okay, we have this equation, we are going to work with this. And they don't care about they don't ask how to derive this. They directly look at the applications. So there I got to know that engineering basically means using the model uh, of of the nature, like physics. You get the model, you model all the equations, and then you start working on it. You don't need to understand the physics. It's not theoretical physics. So what engineering does is the scientists, there's a saying like the scientists make the rules and the engineers get to play the game. So if that makes sense. So, and there the most focus is given on playing the game. Like you have this equation, okay, now do whatever you want. We don't care. Like okay, they tell you how to get there, but once they tell you, that's the end of it. They don't keep asking you again and again as to uh, how this is derived. You just model that equation. You basically model a physical phenomenon into an equation, and then you start working with it. That's basically what I got to learn. That's the summary of what I've got to learn over there.
1 year of experience has been fairly practical, you would say,
Yeah,
as compared to like a lot of explaining and writing a lot of theoretical stuff, values, formulas, and the regular
yeah,
stuff we do here. That's
and
very interesting.
even there, the exams don't take place one after the other, like how we have. Like you guys had 3 days of internals, and then there'll be like 2 weeks of semester end examinations. There'll be some holidays in between. There, as soon as they are done with teaching the subject, they'll conduct the exam. So imagine there are many courses going on simultaneously, but they are of different lengths. They call they uh, they call them as hours. They compartmentalize everything into hours, and they focus on those number of hours, and they take those hours very seriously. Like they say, this is a 30-hour course, 40-hour course. This assignment will take you 2 hours. This assignment will take you 5 to 6 hours, and they work accordingly to that. At that time, they just focus on that and no other time pass or anything. Just 5 to 6 hours of work. But usually it's not 5 to 6 hours. It goes to like 20, 22 for an assignment. That's tough. I think the culture is very chill. You can the professors don't have big ego. The thing is that they are very competent, so they can roast you factually till you surrender quietly. So I mean, if you if you give a reason, the professor will listen to you. He won't be like, okay, this is supposed to be done this way, so it should be done this way. Like, so the professors are very competent and smart. But the Europeans take a lot of liberty in protesting and complaining, and they do it nicely without any fear. And the professors also, they don't scold them. They understand their situation and they act accordingly. I'm not saying there are no professors like this in India, but I feel like in Europe the culture is different. Like the professor respects the student as much as the student respects the professor. Like they respect the student's time.
Actually, to my ears, that sounds like heaven. That there's equality between the teachers and the students, because born and brought up in India, raised here in the schooling system, you obviously have this sort of, this dominance. You always have to look up and always treat them in a particular way. There's this conversation barrier that always exists between the lecturer and the student, unless the teacher is extremely transparent and free and all of that. But I wanted to ask you, what was that transition like for you from like being in Ramayala to choosing France as a location to go pursue your studies? And Prarthana also told me that but you took place, that you won actually a competition in the States. This
It was
aeros,
captain
you were the
for
captain.
a competition called SAE Aero Design West, where they actually built a plane from scratch, and he led like what, 8 of us. And so we also wanted to know what your takeaways are in terms of leadership, what you've learned on leadership,
Yeah.
what advice you can give.
I would say that um, the last day on which I was leaving, the day when I had to fly, that day was completely uh, not in my control. I'd say I was just flowing. I was not in control because in my mind I was going to be entering into a realm of chaos, because it's I don't know how it is there. I don't know how it will be. I don't know how the houses look. I don't know how the rooms look. I have no idea. And that was exciting, and it was little frightening also at the same time. I'd say the time I was leaving my house, that was the most I'd say fumbled. Like I had no idea, because first of all it was very scary, because it was the first time I was leaving my house, going away from. It's not like going for 10 days with friends to the States. It was going to live there alone. But physically I was moving ahead, and then soon my mind caught up with me, and then I was okay. I was one later in the airport, and once I reached there, I was. I was like, what is this beautiful place? It was so beautiful. I mean, it was so clean. There was a big car waiting for us. I had two other friends with me. Not friends, we had just met. So my two colleagues. They call them colleagues, in France, not classmates or anything. Like colleagues. So they're basically my classmates, and I met them on WhatsApp. And then we were flying together. So a big car had come to pick us up. That was then the cool experiences started. Then everything was new. When you're like 3 or 4, you start to speak, you start to develop proper thinking. Then you're discovering everything. It was like that. So everything was new. I went to the hostel. I was like, it was so posh, this hostel, like lights and doors and lift. And no, I shouldn't I shouldn't sound as if I'm coming from a village in India, but I've seen all that in India. But for me, for a hostel to have all that was pretty amazing. The thing is, for aerospace, we have three major choices. We have the United States of USA. We have Canada, USA, the United States of America, Canada, France, and these Brazil also. But Brazil also has an aerospace industry. But the problem with Canada was there were 5 or 6 schools in Montreal, and they have an exchange program. There 4 schools are French, completely French, and 2 are English. So if you transfer to the other school, it will be completely in French. So I didn't want that. You don't understand what I mean. The course will be completely in French. And in US, there's a scarcity of jobs, is what I had learned at that time for international people, for immigrants, if you may. So many people end up doing PhD, which I wasn't really interested in doing PhD. So I wanted to be in the industry. Canada, so ruled out. US ruled out. Brazil also, I think mainly you must be fluent in Portuguese because they speak Portuguese. And I'm not sure whether I didn't really look into Brazil, but Brazil also has an aerospace industry. But France is what I knew from my seniors also, that this institute which I'm in is the best in Europe for aerospace engineering, and it's like a very good school. It's very old actually. It was founded in 1909, and there have been many successful alumni from that college. And also there, Toulouse is for aerospace what Bangalore is for IT. Toulouse is for aerospace for Europe, what Bangalore is for IT for India. So you throw a stone and it will hit an aerospace engineer in Toulouse. So that's what my seniors said. I don't know how true that is. You must be sure that you want to do an MS. You should not go there and regret, like, why did I come here? You should not do just for its fancy name, just because it's all the trend. It's a trend. Doing an MS right after BTech. You should investigate and ask yourself questions as to, do you really need an MS? Because sometimes one can regret the decision if they don't choose the perfect course. And I guess for international studies, like how in India, majority people choose engineering because that gives you a job. But in foreign countries, maybe you can choose a niche topic. Like you have had a pastry chef on your podcast before. There are some people doing music. I think in foreign countries, I think there's more scope for these niche jobs.
You have been fairly extracurricular. And to also answer your question in like under 30 seconds, the reason why I choose to do podcasts or music or anything is because I want something to, creatively it's just for me to, in some sort of way, to creatively put all of my thoughts in a direction and actually see it. Because if I'm sure you've made your if you've had OCs and stuff with your drum stuff, and you would have realized that once you make something, you realize, oh my god, did I actually do that? That's pretty cool, right? So that then also it's like this epiphany moment for me. So I want to ask you, you have been drumming for college and stuff. Why do you do it, and like what is like the one reason that you still pursue music?
I'd say music is my strongest and my greatest talent, So, and I enjoy doing it. Also because I can do it. I'm not bad at it, so I keep doing it. And drumming sometimes becomes repetitive, and like chanting a mantra or something like that. Yeah. I used to drum in darkness. That was very peaceful for me, and also the drums attract me in a very in a beautiful way. So I've always been, there was a picture of a drum set in my music room in school. It was completely in gold. So I was very interested in learning the drums. I used to play the table in my class. I was pretty good at it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I can do it right now because I started off doing that and then going to beatboxing.
Yeah. So I used to think that drumming is just like playing the table, but it was completely. I had 2 sticks in my hand. I couldn't do anything the first time I tried to play the drums. But I think I played the drums for the first time in first standard, where all the students had to mandatorily play a drum roll, dugu, 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 ish, like that, something. So it was it was quite interesting for me. And then music, it's a deep question, man, because I think music was one necessity. Like I haven't met anyone who doesn't like music. Everyone likes music. They listen to different kinds of music. So it's like you need food, water, and music to survive. And sometimes you want like movies, drama. But I think I don't know why I play the drums. It's sort of a meditation, a sort of a meditative time for me when I play music. And like doesn't matter what's going on around. When I'm in music, I completely get immersed into it, and it's just a nice fun time. I can keep going, keep playing and playing until I'm very tired and exhausted. But that's the way it is for me.
Question before you answer Prarthana's question: who's your favorite drummer?
Who's my favorite drummer?
Yeah.
I'd say Stuart Copeland. He's he was the drummer for the Police. It's a punk new wave band from the late 70s and early 80s.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel that nobody is a born leader. You learn to be a leader by looking at other leaders, nice, good, exemplary leaders. For me, it was my senior. I call him Commander Shantanu Bhaiya. I I was I was the junior most member in my first year, and this is the team Quartless, the best aero modeling team in the world. There will ever be. Okay, so the best. So I'm just being modest
I know,
right now.
it's okay. It's okay. It's your confidence is commendable. I like it. Please continue.
The number one, and I was the supreme leader of that wonderful
Supreme leader.
as a leader. I learned from Bhaiya. I observed many of my seniors for 1 year. I tried to. No, actually, in my first year, uh, I was never learning or observing my leaders to become a leader. That wasn't happening. What is the word for that?
Consciously.
Consciously, yes. Thank you, Prarthana. Where were we? The leader, yeah. In my first year, I wasn't consciously studying and learning how to be a leader because I was a junior member in my first year. And never in my wildest dreams had I imagined that next year I was going to be the captain. So the thing that happened was all my seniors suddenly left the team because they had graduated, and most of, I would say, the people who made the key decisions, majority of them were in fourth year. So they graduated and then they left the team. And then the seniors who were in third year who went to fourth year also left the team. So now there were just 3 people left in the team. Four in fact. Finally, I was named the captain by my seniors, 2 seniors actually, Shubham Bhaiya and Shantanu Bhaiya. Then I was surprised, like me, like I am the captain because I was the junior most member. In fact, I was the youngest, and I had seniors in my team. And first of all, I was the captain. With that, I had seniors in my team. That year was a learning year for me as a captain because it was the first time I was the captain of so many people in a technical team, and there were a lot of people. There were like 14 people, I suppose. That year wasn't that great for us, but it was the first time our plane flew and successfully, like it landed back. It flew last times also. When I was in the team, the first year it crashed actually, it never landed successfully. Second year, we had our first is a maiden flight, maiden successful flight where it took off and landed. So I still remember that moment, because I was running to get the plane. I shouted so loudly that my chest got a cramp, I think, because I had shouted so loudly. So I still remember that moment. But then soon after that, in that same competition, the plane crashed again. So in my third year, the goal was to not let the plane crash, to have all successful flight rounds.
So wait, this
And
is
then,
not remote, no? This is obviously this is an all wooden flight, like Prarthana said.
yes, it's a remote controlled flight.
Oh, it's a remote
But
controlled flight. Okay, so I was thinking about
yes,
something else. So, what was it like for you to build something, and what went in the aerodynamics, the mechanics, and the execution of the entire process? How did you feel like you were able to communicate to your peers to do work for you? Because I have that issue. Like if someone's not reciprocating, I'll be like, fine, I'll do it myself. And then I'll be doing one thing for like 75 hours. And by the end of it, I'll just be flat on the ground, like what is life? So
Like
what is your yeah, like my mini project basically. So what is your way? Like you went to the States, you did all of that. So it's nice. I've I've always been selected as a leader, like even when I was younger, when I was in scouts or school, but and I've always been to orate well, like I've been able to speak well. But when it came to assigning duties to people, was the area I slacked in. It was the area I was like, okay, if that person's not fully interested, then I might do it myself. So you, on the other hand, uh, would have obviously told your peers and your friends, okay, you have this task, you have this task, you have this task. So what was that process like?
okay. So first of all, let me tell the viewers what the competition is. So this is we're talking about the SA Aero Design West competition where our team, my ex team participates. This is Team Quarters
There's
from
always an X, man. There's always an X.
yeah.
That was a
But this is
very
the only
deep
X for me.
statement.
What?
That was a
Sorry?
very deep statement, random deep statement.
There's always
There's
an X.
always an X. But
Always
this is the only X for me.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Anyways.
just
No
letting all the
names.
girls
So
know.
yes. No. So yeah, maybe. But it's a competition where you have to uh, design and fabricate an airplane from scratch. It's a remote control airplane. It's usually made of balsa wood, so they don't allow composites, and so the planes are usually made of balsa wood. That's the type of a wood. It's actually a composite in itself, but balsa wood is allowed. So so balsa wood, remember the name. It's a very good, very nice lightweight material used for making model airplanes. And the mission of our uh, the mission for us is to carry payload. So there are three classes in this competition. One is micro, one is regular, one is advanced. So the micro is simulating airplanes which are very small in size. All right. So the regular class is simulating the commercial aviation industry or the cargo aviation industry, where basically there are big planes carrying a lot of payload and flying from one place to the other. Third is the advanced class, where they have to drop something, and that is how you see in relief, where you have to throw some relief, like food packages or something in the military, or in the recent years there was you have to make a big mothership kind of a plane, and you have to release three, not three, or you have to release three small airships. So basically they're simulating a big spacecraft going to Mars and releasing three small airplanes which will land on Mars, and along with that the food and all. So that's the advanced class. We used to participate in the regular class. For us it was simulating the commercial industry or the cargo aviation industry. For me, in my first 3 years, it was the commercial aviation industry. For us, the passengers were tennis balls. So our plane has a lot of seats for tennis balls, which are mimicking the passengers. And just like passengers have their own cargo, like our suitcases and luggages, each tennis ball had some specific luggage or some payload. So you had to carry that. So that's the gist of the competition, where they are asking you to design your airplane from scratch and fabricate it from scratch. So you sort of go through the entire design process that real companies go through when designing a new aircraft. I mean, we don't do it as rigorously as the companies do, but we get an idea of how you start from scratch and then you move on. Sometimes people just don't listen and they're not as interested as you are. There were some
Yeah.
team members. Before that, assigning roles to my team, I would say I was extremely, extremely lucky to have some of the best team members in my team. Core team means the people who make the decisions, and the other team we are basically laborers who work for. That's what I used to call them. I'll say it outright. I wasn't the best captain. I was not. I was learning. I was in the process of learning. All of us were, but I was really fortunate to have some really good team members because of whom we came fifth. Or else if it had only been me, it wouldn't have been possible. All brilliant, just geniuses, all of them in their own what is that? In their own respect. What is the word? In their own
respective fields. Yeah, I get that, bro. Like
in their own
it's
respective
also
field.
yeah, like it's very difficult to also find people like that. It's like you said,
Yeah.
it's also very hard to find a set of people who will actually resonate with your ideas or ideals, because when you want to start building something, that takes a lot of effort from either side. So you're very fortunate to
There were some people who were completely motivated to win. So at one point, we just let go of it and we started doing most of we were the ones who used to stay back the most till late, till 8, 9. People used to leave. There's some people who cared a lot. There's some people who didn't care much. But then at a point, you're like, we cannot make them care. All we can do is put effort from our side. And that's where I lacked as a captain, because sometimes I used to start doing things independently because nobody would listen to me. I should have convinced them better. For leadership, again, I I would say I'm still the best leader, but I've learned that a leader must always walk, carry along other team members along with him or her. That's the way it should be. It should not be a single-minded thing. His job is to identify who is the smartest and the most intelligent, who can do the best things, and then assign the job to that person. After we came fifth, there was a moment when I thought there was, so for us, we had to fly certain number of balls. The thing was in third year, my third year, we didn't know how many balls to fly. Actually, we had made the plane, so we didn't have an idea as to what is the maximum our plane can carry. So each time we flew a higher number of balls, it was like my heart was in my throat. So it was a suspenseful event because we don't know whether the
this
aircraft is
was at the
actually
final
capable
day
of
of the
carrying.
company. This was the final day of the competition in the States.
Yeah, actually, any flight round, anytime the plane flew, uh, we had some mini heart attacks because we didn't know if this plane can fly it or not. And the thing is, if your plane crashes in
You have to
that
start
round,
all over again.
you get a highly negative score. That year the rules were different in third year. So say your maximum score you can get is 4,000. If you crash in that one round, you get minus 4,000. If you cannot repair your aircraft, you keep getting minus 4,000. So you plummet completely into the negative score. So that was also a very important decision which we had to make. So every time the plane flew a higher number, uh, we were getting mini heart attacks. So then at the end we were sorry. 1 minute. In the end we were fifth. So when I looked at the scores and I did some research, I found that if we had flown some more balls, uh, we could have come third, which is much better than fifth because you get a medal in third if you come third. So for a lot of time, I was completely feeling guilty and I was blaming myself for taking a wrong decision and because of which the team came fifth. But now, since a long time has passed, even if I had got that medal, it would have been lying somewhere in the house. Well, surely I would have slept with it for 1 week or 2 weeks. I just never let go of it. But now when I look back, it's all the beautiful memories that I have made in the club, all the hard work that my team put in, and that's all I remember. And at the end, I figured out that fifth is much better than 15th. What if we flew more balls and the plane crashed? and still we would have been that adequate or the average team in college. Sure, third is much better than fifth, but fifth is much more better than 15th or 20th.
How
But
many
now
people
I'd say that
competed?
I think 38,
Fifth is
38
a
people. But
great
now
position.
I'll say that now all 38 teams, all the ranks are good, even if you're the last. Until and unless you really worked hard and you really learned something new, the victory is in living it. So just participating and making something and making it fly itself is such a big achievement, and we were still learning in that phase. So now the team is growing. I hope it keeps growing.
So Rahul, I
But
want to end it off on a question that I wanted to ask you from what I learned from your personality. How do you think you work harder or you actually achieve your goals? Because I noticed this, a little backstory. I noticed this character trait about myself, and I've been practicing a lot of long distance running from a very long time right now. And let's say if I have this goal of going to like 13 kilometers or whatever, it's so bad, this is very bad, but I give up towards the end. Like I reach the end, and because of how tired and my legs are, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do 13, I'm just going to do like 12.5 or like 11. So in like doing projects or like going to the States or going to France and doing something exciting with your life, how do you reach these goals for yourself? How do you set goals for yourself? And how do you achieve your goals? How do you execute your goals? And how do you not burn out? How do you sustain yourself? And we can end this with this question.
see, once you have what keeps you going is it's not motivation, it's the drive. It's the madness in your head to medal, medal, medal. I need the medal, medal, medal. So once you get that drive, you automatically just start working. And we had that drive because also we had failed 2 times. So because of that, you can say the ego was very hurt. A very fragile ego. Keeps getting hurt. So even the ego wanted to just see the
Prove
plane
itself.
fly. Yeah, not prove itself, but just correct on the previous mistakes and not let them happen again, and just be completely careful. Uh, so and achieve it. So that drive kept me going and kept us all going. Actually, it wasn't. Some days were boring and monotonous, but then that drive was so powerful. You kept going, and also you want to see that plane fly so badly, so you keep working on it till it's complete, and you just put it into the air. Also, we had that drive, like our ambition, like we hope this club keeps growing. Like I was saying, like one day in the future when we all are grown up, we come back to the team and we see that the team has grown really a lot. Like all our previous models hanging from the ceiling, that's how they hang these old aircrafts in museums.
They do, yeah.
That was a vision, and we had a vision to make the college win. That was a vision. Like you have this sense of ownership and this sense of pride of your own team, your college, your country. Then you keep working hard. Then you're representing all of them at an international platform. So you have this really strong drive in you. Once you get that drive, you must find that drive actually. If you get the drive, you won't even think for a moment like I'm bored. Well, some days you might, but again you will be back on your feet the next day. Now I'm finding that drive again.
Again,
I
all
don't
right. That's nice.
at present I don't have a drive, so I'm
Huh.
quite lazy at times. I'm not as energetic. So currently I'm finding a drive. Hopefully I get one soon, because once I
Yeah,
get a drive I just keep going.
yeah. I get
Difficult to
that
get.
you have this goal on your mind and you cannot stop thinking about it until you've executed that goal and in some sort of
Yeah.
way made that goal come to fruition. The question I wanted to ask was, your college experience, was it good or bad?
Oh, Ramaya.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful it was. It's just amazing. I never call it a bad experience. I learned so much, and my friends molded me in a way. I was a weird, creepy guy before college. but I got really nice friends. I got a lot of experiences. Joined Ramaya, best college in the world. So, I mean, yeah, any college, wherever you are, I used to feel that first year I didn't crack IIT. Oh, such a disappointing thing. I was like, I should prepare again for JE, like write it next year, and somehow I'll crack JE and I'll drop and I'll go to IIT. But at the end of fourth year, I was like, thank God I got into Ramaya. It's like, because it doesn't matter where you are, it all starts with you. Even if you're in if they call it the lowest rank college, you can still do wonders if you have that drive, you have that burning drive in you. You will do something of excellence and brilliance. But you should also be lucky. I was extremely lucky to have such a supportive family, such nice friends. You need to be lucky. So I'd say my experience was wonderful in the army. So, yeah.
Awesome. I am actually very happy to hear that. But thank you for speaking to us, Rahul. Like, honestly, very insightful conversation. You seem like a person who's figured it out / not figured it out. So that's very relatable. Yeah. So like, whenever I see someone who's completely figured it out, it's like, oh, I can't relate to that person because I don't know how it is to have your life figured out, your goals sorted out, your ambitions and your dreams. Because I think as this 20 to 25 age, you're still so confused about your life, probably 30 also. You're still your decisions, what you want to do, how do you wake up every day and have a drive, motivation, all of that in an ever increasing competitive world. But you seem like a very well settled, chill person. I hope you end up finding your drive. I hope you end up out, you know, excelling yourself. I hope you end up being a better version of yourself and, inspiring more people. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Rahul.
much.